Welcome back to the channel. This video is on environmental science, and today we're looking at the ecosystem services, what our environment provides humans and how humans interact with our environment, and discussing each part or component of these services to understand how humans interact with nature. This is the Earth Science Classroom. The term ecosystem services is an overarching, broad umbrella term that basically means what does the environment, the ecosystem, and the natural world provide us as humans, because we are a species on this planet and are able to utilize the natural world to further our survival, our existence, our development as a species, from cavemen all the way through to modern day societies and cultures and modern day humans. The ability to use the environment and ecosystem and the services that it provides has enabled us as humans to become not only the dominant species on the planet, but also a thriving species on the planet. However, on the flip side, humans need to understand the value of the ecosystem, the value of the environment, and have an approach to the environment, to ecosystems, that requires sustainability, requires a balancing act between the amount we take and what is left to regrow, reproduce, and provide for future generations. So this can be quantified in various ways, and it also can be difficult to quantify because a lot of things have not always got an immediate value. So there are direct and indirect values that the ecosystem provides us. And the ability to appreciate both the direct and indirect, and the ability to restore and maintain an effective balance and sustainability of that environment is difficult for humans to manage because of human nature and because of the way that we have lived our lives previously from previous generations. It's hard to change. However, as this video is going to explain, it is essential for our survival that we change our approach to the environment. Ecosystem services can be broken down into 4 different components: functionality, the cultural and society, value, the products the environments produce, and also regulating and controlling the environment. However, all of these components work together. Without the functionality, you don't get products. Without the products, you don't get the regulating and how to control the amount of products we get from the environment, thus affecting the functionality. And of course, you don't have a functioning natural world and still have the cultural and societal effects from that beautiful natural world. So all 4 of these components work together. However, we're focusing on what humans take out of the environment and how we manage the environment. In order to take out or use the ecosystem effectively for humans, for materials, for food, for water, for shelter, for the basics and beyond the basics into the material world we live in terms of construction materials and elements for technology, we need to understand how the ecosystem functions, which basically is the topic of environmental science and ecology and biology in general, and the living world and how it functions. Now, to understand how an ecosystem functions is to understand the different components and parts of that ecosystem. For example, photosynthesis and soil formation and net primary productivity and gross primary productivity, looking at nutrient cycling of the main macronutrients like carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, and of course the water cycle, biodiversity and hotspots, looking at habitat restoration and how animals exist in different food chains and food webs, and this whole complex mixture of how an ecosystem actually works piece by piece is essential to understand, because if we start to take away or use the products of that ecosystem without the understanding of how it functions, then to remove parts will break down the whole system, which then will create an issue for the future when there is or are no ecosystems that we are able to use for human survival. In this component, we have a lot of direct, very obvious connections between the humans and how humans use the ecosystem and how it functions. For example, the ability for trees to synthesize sunlight and CO2 and produce oxygen as a byproduct, which we use directly for respiration. So photosynthesis is a great example, or the ability for soil to be present in an environment in order to actively move macronutrients between the soil organisms and the decomposers and bacteria to the plants, back out into the atmosphere and back into the rocks. So the movement of nutrients is key through the soil. The next is the ecosystem products, which is basically anything that humans take out and use from the environment or from an ecosystem. That could be as simple as the removal and consumption of both food and water, food being from crops, being from trees, or various ways to grow vegetables in soil, and the combination of nutrients and sunlight and temperature and climate, elevation, water supply, and the macronutrients. Also the supply of water through various sources: groundwater, natural springs, lakes, rivers, and also anything we use for materials, any fibers, any animal products that we are going to use in our daily lives in terms of clothing, in terms of what we buy and purchase. All of these are related to the products and what is formed and created in an environment. If we do not understand how the environment creates these products and we misuse them or not appreciate the value of our ecosystem, then those products will no longer be produced in order for us to obtain and use. The next service is the regulation, the control. Now, humans like to control everything. We seem to think that everything is under our power control, under our supervision, under our purview, and we seem to think that we own everything on this planet. However, we don't appreciate that we are part of a working system, a natural world that is in balance, that is sustainable, and when we change that or don't appreciate that, that's when we start to lose our ecosystem, lose our products, lose our functionality, and that affects humans in a negative way. So therefore, we have established ways or measurements to control certain parts of the environment. For example, water control in terms of dams, aquifers, the control of groundwater flow, and the use of water in irrigation and human activities, the ability to monitor the quality of the air for various particulate matters and pollutants, looking at the control of soil erosion, the control of floodwater with levees and engineering activities to manage rivers and the flow of rivers and the discharge, looking at the addition of fertilizers for soil. All of these are a consequence of human activity in general. And what we've done to the environment initially, which requires us to monitor and control what we do to the environment in order to maximize the output, maximize the functionality, to not damage the environment too much, to then ensure we can have a constant supply of products and materials for our consumption. Is that sustainable? Does that really happen? Is that real life? No. We know that. However, the ability to control and monitor and evaluate the flow of products and the effect on the environment is key to obtaining, hopefully, some sort of sustainability with our services. We have discussed 3 ecosystem services up to now. That is the functionality of the ecosystem, the control or the regulation by humans of that ecosystem, and the products, the materials that are naturally produced by these ecosystems that humans use on a daily basis for all variety of uses. The last services or service we can discuss is quite difficult to quantify. It is the cultural and societal impact and influence that nature has or an ecosystem has on the people in and around it, or the humans that use that ecosystem. For example, for enjoyment, for the leisure or leisure time, for sporting activities, or just being outside in nature to experience the animals, the birds, the insects, the trees, the mountains, lakes, coastlines, the oceans. All of these different environments add up to the significance for humans, not only to go and see a beautiful landscape like a national park or a beautiful coastline, just to appreciate the impact that these environments, these ecosystems that are functioning properly, that do produce products, but also concurrently give humans that inner well-being, that non-material benefit, that aesthetic, that food for the soul that nature can provide to many humans. And that is essential to appreciate how it links up with the other ecosystem services and the importance of maintaining the functionality and regulatory actions on those ecosystems in order to maintain the cultural and societal significance for humans. In conclusion, ecosystem services or service is what the environment provides humans and what humans take out of the environment as part of society, as part of their daily requirement for materials, for food, for water, for materials that are provided by various environments, not only the oceans, but the terrestrial biomes. And everything is connected. So the functionality of the ecosystem and how we treat that ecosystem as humans, how we control it and add regulations and laws and monitor each part of the ecosystem in terms of what's happening to it and the changes and the effects we have in terms of climate change or air quality, water quality, pollution levels, and how we maintain or create a balance between what we take and allowing the ecosystem to remain, to flourish and continue through generation, not just destroying it for now and removing everything, but understanding that the functionality of an ecosystem is extremely complex, and by removing products and materials, we must understand the effect, both direct and indirect, on this ecosystem that could harm it, and therefore try our best to reduce that impact, that harm, to maintain the ecosystem for future generations. Again, that is the essence of environmental science, is that sustainability and that accountability by humans and how we interact with our natural world. This is the Earth Science Classroom. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe, like, and share. And if you want more content and videos on Earth Science, please check out my channel.